Hello crochet friends, and welcome everyone to G Crochet Off the Hook. I'm G, Geraldine, sharing my crochet adventures off the hook. Today we're just doing a quick check-in because my crochet mojo has been on a yo-yo for the last couple of weeks, but I did manage to finish a project, have another one look at me pleading to be completed, and then of course some granny squares from last week Friday's granny square day. So let's kick off with our granny squares. Now I had this granny square from last year's granny square day that I did do, and it's this very happy, very quick make that you can find on YouTube with a tutorial from Hooked by Robin. It's a smiley face. I'm pretty sure she did a whole lot of other squares for a specific blanket. So if you head on over there, you'll also be able to find the other squares that she did. But I have this happy smiley face square, and I actually want to pin it somewhere because I think it's just so happy. It's happy. Now for Granny Square Day, I wanted to have a look for a few Granny Squares in Granny Square books that I have, and make of those that I haven't made before. And the first one that I did was a very simple Granny Square called Bright Shimmer, and it's from the Modern Book to Granny Squares by Celine Seaman. And I did not read the instructions correctly. This particular one does tell you to change, turn your project at the end of each round, which I did not do because I wasn't reading. I just said, oh good, colorful Granny Square, go for it. The one thing when I crochet something like this is I will start with my 3 double crochet in the corner, go around, and when I come back to this side, I end with a half double crochet join so that I can start in the middle of my corner. If the chain is a chain 2 or a chain 3, I normally use the half double crochet join, and if it's a single crochet, then I just join doing a single crochet. So that was the Bright Shimmer Granny Square, another happy colorful square. And from the same book, and using, since I'd already pulled out yarn ends for all these colors, I stuck with those colors, and I randomly chose another one of the squares out of the book, and this was called the Dazzling Octagon. So it used all the same colors from the previous Granny Square, and then I was too short, so I just added in a green and a purple, and I think I still have a very colorful Dazzling Octagon Granny Square, and that was the colors from the first one. So just 2 fun squares that I did on Granny Square Day so that I had some fresh Granny Squares I hadn't tried before to put on my feed. And while I was going down the lane of trying something I hadn't tried before, I have been wanting to try what they call the Sun and Moon Granny Square. And this one is a YouTube tutorial by Craigie's Crochet. It is a non-verbal tutorial. The writing's on the screen, but the instructions were very easy to follow. And now I can tick off that I have done the Sun Moon Granny Square. So sometimes I just do sample squares. I do have a little tub, it's not here, of various squares that I've made over the years where I've only made one of them, and I glance at them every now and then. I have made a note of where where I find the pattern, or if I have the pattern on a PDF. And so I've sort of ticked off that I have done them, and then every now and then have a look through that box, and then remind myself that if there is a project that I'm looking at doing, I do have some inspiration with a few samples that I've done, which is where these will actually go as well. Then, to my surprise, when I clicked on Instagram on Granny Square Day, I came across a Granny Square pattern by Sharon Morrison, and it's called Tuppy Turtle. There it is. I had to make it immediately. So her Instagram account is called Live Love Crochet Shaz, and you'll be able to find the pattern for this square in her bio. And what I loved about this was it's a lovely, well written pattern. You do your 5 little pieces, keep them on the side. You do some color changes for the shell, and then as you crochet the rest of the square, your turtle pieces are crocheted in. So this is a fabulous square to make, where other than the color changes here, which I worked over my ends on without having to sew them in. I'll try to do a little video of how I've done that. I've seen many people do it before, so it is something that other people do as well, where you actually crochet over your tail and lock it in at the same time. And that's the back. I used a variegated yarn and then a single blue color, and just a light apple green for the actual turtle. Isn't that an awesome happy square? Tuppy Turtle, Live Love Crochet Shaz, Sharon Morrison. It was such a treat, and you wouldn't, looking at it, I thought, oh gosh, there's going to be so much sewing of pieces on and all the rest of it, and it was not. So this is an absolute delight if anybody wants to try a little square like this. Fabulous. And then, of course, on Granny Square Day, I have to mention I was trying to kick my bug that bit me in the butt, and I'm pretty confident I have shrunk it a little bit with the old-fashioned medicine of some good old spunk in the attitude. Sometimes you just have to show the vitamins around you that you can boost them with some good old spunky attitude, and then somehow you start to feel a little bit better, even if it's still, hanging around in the background. And so my Friday was such a treat, because after taking my doses, I settled in with my rectangle granny square, and there was a wonderful granny square video by Litsa where she did 3 granny square projects and made an air fryer loaf of bread, and I was set. I crocheted like I had a bee in my bonnet while listening to some great tales of granny square kits and writing down a new recipe to try in the air fryer. So that was a wonderful Granny Square Friday, and I would encourage you to go and have a look at that video if you are needing some crochet companion, because it certainly did lift my spirits. It's always lovely to hang out with our YouTube friends, especially when we're needing that little bit of crochet company. So the next thing off the hook that has been completed, yay yay, is August's corner to corner house square, and this month we did the schoolhouse. I'm not going to shy away from saying this one kicked my crochet hook and yarn and sewing everything mood, because I did not enjoy all these windows, but they have been completed and the square has been blocked, so it's looking more square than what it was from all the tugging that I did to it trying to control the windows. And to my surprise, in one of my playlists, I was looking for a bell appliqué, and I came across one that I have used in the past before, and it's this lovely tutorial from the Turtle Trunk. She does a Christmas bauble and bell, and it just worked perfectly for what I needed. So this is our corner to corner houses square, the schoolhouse, and it's hosted by Sarah from Repeat Craft to Me, and all the information about this year-long blanket cowl is on her blog. So yay, we have, well, September to December's to do. Not even hinting at calculating numbers right now. And I did want to share that yes, you do need to be mindful that when you take on a project like this, unless somebody else has a different way of dealing with all the small little bobbles that you need to make for your color changes, you may end up with a bucket like this. There are so many colors in here. That's from January until now. Of course, some of the other squares incorporate some of the same colors, so then you're quite pleased that you have some of them already wound into small little cakes to deal with. And these are some of the ones that still have a lot on them, and some of them may also be used for the squares that we have remaining. And of course, all these yarn ends that are left will happily be crocheted into a yarn ends project like a blanket or a pillowcase perhaps. So there we go. Now the one guy that is patiently waiting to be completed in the plushie world is my, let me remove the pin here, the needle, is this guy. Now there's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with you. You are perfectly fine. I just haven't been feeling 100% into putting him together, because for 2 weeks, this gorgeous little wolf is a pattern from Hobie. It's Rita and Ulrika, designed by Katja Hansen. And it is the Rita the fox and Ulrika the wolf, which I've had for quite a while. And all he's missing is the white from his eyes. And for some reason, for 2 weeks, he's just been hanging around waiting for me to put a little bit of personality on him so that he can join the rest of his crochet buddies, yes, behind you. But for now, he's not complete, so he's going back into my project bag. And then, what did I crochet that somehow just fell off the hook? And that is a crossbody bag for my daughter. Last week, she attended an expo for 2.5 days for work, and she was looking everywhere for a crossbody bag that she didn't want to use any of her handbags. She didn't want to use a tote. She just wanted something lightweight that would be comfortable enough for her to travel around during the day at the expo. And it did not come from one shot. This was the third attempt. But I did crochet her this crossbody bag, and it has endured its 2.5 days at the expo, and it was made by Mommy. I made a long crossover strap for her using the single crochet thermal stitch, and I just made up the bag on the fly. And that was by starting off with a chain, doing 4 single crochets on each side. In the second round, I doubled each of the 4 single crochets on each side in the back loop, continued with just 3 rounds of single crochet, and then I started a very simple pattern. And all I did was double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, which is basically a window stitch. And on the next round up, because I knew I wasn't going to have time to line this bag, I wanted it to be densely closed. So the second row going up, I half double crocheted in the double crochet and double crocheted behind the single crochet into the missed stitch below. And that's how the pattern gave this texture. And then did it to the size that she wanted, width and height wise. And when we had reached the end, I just slip stitched each side closed for a little bit, made a little flap to close it with, added on 2 of those little magnetic clippy things. And inside I did also just crochet a square like that. Just turn it inside out. So I just crocheted a square and sewed it on so that she could have a pocket on the inside. And voila, crossbody bag. She said she did have quite a few people ask her where she got her bag from, and she could say her mama made it. Isn't that adorable? So, and she will definitely be using it again. The biggest thing that I was impressed about is this handle, this strap that I made, because even when this was filled to capacity, this did not stretch out of shape or, get all wonky. And that is because this single crochet thermal stitch was made using a 6mm crochet hook and some macrame loopy yarn, which is 80% cotton and 20% polyester, and it worked up a treat. And because it was a 6mm and because it's the type of yarn that it is, it was very quick to work the thermal stitch, because the thermal stitch can feel long-winded because it's a single crochet that you're doing. And I paired this, it was just a dark grey color, with the bag was made, surprisingly, it's 100% soft premium acrylic, and it's the Pure Gold. I double stranded that, also used a 6mm hook. So the third attempt, the first 2 attempts was to get that chain the right length, and then when you increase it, that it didn't actually stretch wider than the size that was wanted. So once I had that right, the rest of the bag really didn't take too much time, and it was this that I doubled. This one's color was titanium, and the dark grey in the macrame. And voila, we had a bag. So I'm rather chuffed that something creative did come off the hook, even though my crochet mojo still feels like it's a yo-yo. Anyway, people, weekend is approaching. Our weather has been hot and extremely hot, and then windy, and then cold. You know, that seems to be the new norm for winter down here by us. I would really like to take this opportunity because I think I am rubbish at, developing. I am still in the learning stages of trying to do the whole connection thing with everybody correctly, and I'm sure it will come naturally as I start to feel more natural being here with everybody. But I am not amiss at wanting to say thank you so much for everybody who watches, for the extremely kind messages that you leave. I kind of feel overwhelmed by them, and then it's like I want to just do cartoon and emoji replies to everybody, but you are all appreciated. You are also incredibly talented, and for all the beginners that are trying, everybody feels like a beginner when they're trying something new. You just need to have the courage to start and enjoy the process. I know sometimes that's one of the hardest things to do when you're doing crochet. I was just speaking to somebody recently who was just starting out, and I had suggested to her, try the beanies. If it's something you don't want to keep but it's a wearable, then pass it on, because somebody else will love your attempt at crocheting something, and you will feel more confident as your crochet grows. And that's what my love of crochet is. It's a handmade skill that the world should never lose. We should never have to tap a screen and put stitches together, you know, like many games that are being developed. Being hands-on with a craft, whatever craft it is that you do, that's what this is all about. And the sky's the limit. So I'm pepping myself into going to finish this wolf. We all have those days where we are not sure what we're doing, why we're doing it. We just feel blah or whatever. But the main thing is I see you all, and I appreciate your watching and sharing, and let's just continue to do that, is show the world that crochet does bring joy. And with that, I wish you all a wonderful weekend and happy crocheting.